went home that morning, and it was morning because they had kept us there quite late, and with assurance that no, it wouldn't be any publicity about it at all. Well, we went on to work that morning, and by 7 or 8 o'clock, there was telephones ringing, all over the shipyard. And I called Fred Diamond, and he said that he don't know how the story leaked out from the sheriff's department, but, that by that time the whole world knew about it.
You said something that was like an eye ran up and down your body. Do you think it was like examining you?
Yes, it was it had to be some type of examination. Well, I say had to be. It appears to me that it would be. And after talking with a lot of scientists, and I'm convinced that it was something that was some type of examination that it did me.
Did you communicate with these creatures, these things?
No, and the only sound that they made, they didn't attempt to communicate with me. The only sound that they made, one of them, and I'm not even sure it come from one of the things, but it was some kind of mumbling-like sound, a low mumbling sound from one of them. But other than that, they didn't try to communicate. I tried to say something to them aboard the craft, but I think now, and I have reasons to believe, many different reasons to believe, these things were robots. They weren't beings. They were being controlled by beings from somewhere else.
What made you think that, sir?
Well, as I just mentioned, several reasons. I didn't see any movement of breath in the chest area. I didn't see any movement of breath in the slit of the mouth area. It didn't move. And when they moved, they seemed to move as something mechanically. They could move their arms like this and in their shoulders, but their head didn't move, and when they moved, they seemed to turn as if mechanically. It appeared to me that they had something that they were programmed, you might say, to do something. They had something specific to do, and they just simply done it, and their attention wasn't distracted one way or the other.
Did their examination of you hurt you?
No. The only physical pain that I had is when they took hold of me there on the banks of the river. The one that took hold of my left arm, and this arm here, just instantly I felt pain, but it was gone just that quick. And then once aboard the craft, at one time, I felt the same pain in the same area again, but it was just instantly. And that's the only physical pain that I had through the entire thing.
Now, approximately how long do you figure you were in the craft itself?
Well, I'm not sure, because I don't wear a watch. A watch won't keep time on me. And Calvin didn't have a watch. And we've tried to go back, and I've tried to go back and try to figure the time out from the time that we left the area going to call it Keesley Air Force Base and all. And it could have possibly been as long as it could have been anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and probably even longer than that.
Can you give us some idea of the size of this craft that you were suspended within?
Well, the craft, let me explain now. The angle that I was looking toward the craft, it's hard for me to say, which I can't say, whether the craft was round like a disc or whether it was long or oblong like a cigar. Because it was, let me give you an example. Like the craft was sitting here. We're assuming that this is the front end of it. That was the end that was toward us. Well, I'm looking at it from this angle, so all I can see is what is this side and what I'm assuming to be the front, and maybe it's a little bit of the back. So I can't be sure whether the craft was round like a disc or was long or oblong. But it appeared to me that it was about 30 or 40 foot long and maybe 8 or 10 foot high. Just before where the opening appeared, there seemed to be 2 small windows up toward the front and the top. 2 small windows, and directly behind the windows was the revolving or the pulsating blue light.
Now, you said you attempted to talk to these creatures. Could you not talk? Could your vocal cords not work?
Well, that's hard to explain. I know I was saying something, but for some strange reason I couldn't hear myself. You can hear yourself talk, but I know I was either saying something or trying to say something, but I didn't hear myself talking.
Now, when they brought you back outside, they deposited you on the bank where you were fishing before with your friend.
That's right. Almost the exact spot, yes.
What kind of shape was he in?
He seemed to be, when I seen him, he seemed to be going in shock. I've seen many men in shock in the Korean War. And he seemed to be going in shock. Because it took me several minutes to even get in where I could talk to him to make any sense.
So once the craft deposited you and Calvin back on the bank, without any further ado, it just departed?
It departed, that's right, it departed.
Now, you said you went to the authorities. Did the Air Force at that time cite any radar sightings in that area at that time? Unusual sightings?
Well, I'm not sure because the Air Force won't talk about those things. They didn't even want to talk, they didn't want to talk with us about it. The only connection that we had, you might say, with the Air Force is the next day, it dawned on me that we might have been contaminated with radiation or something. So we were at the sheriff's department, and I asked the sheriff if we could be examined for radiation because I was quite worried. I'd been with my family. I'd been in contact with many people. So Detective Huntley that called Keesler Air Force Base, and they said yes, they would check us for radiation. So they carried us out there, and they checked us. They swabbed our shoes, our clothing, and under our fingernails and all, and they put it, in little tubes, and I don't know what happened to it. But they said there wasn't any sign of radiation, and at that time, we asked to talk with the intelligence at Keesler Air Force Base, which that was granted to us, and we went in a conference room with a bunch of colonels, and of course, Detective Huntley was there, and we told them what happened to us, and they seemed very interested, and they told us that a report would follow, which never did. So the Air Force, I think they just, I don't know, they just keep hands off and things like that.
Kind of brushed it under the rug.
For some strange reason, yes.
Have you been examined by any psychiatrist or put under any hypnotic trance to relate your story?
Yes, this happened on Thursday night. On Saturday morning, Dr. Alan Heineck from Northwestern University and Dr. James Harder from the from Berkeley, they came to Pascagoula, and they questioned Calvin and me in length, and we were placed under hypnotism with a local psychiatrist present, along with a medical doctor present, and Dr. Heineck and Dr. Harder. Yes, we was hypnotized and questioned.
What was the result of that?
Dr. Harder and Dr. Heineck were convinced that it actually happened to us. And then I might add that we asked the sheriff that night because after we decided to tell the sheriff, certainly we wanted to prove to him that it did happen. So we asked for a lie detector test. They didn't have the facilities here in Jackson County. So later on I think it was either the latter part of October or the early part of November, Calvin had a nervous breakdown because of this, and he was in a hospital in Jones County. I took a polygraph test here in Pascagoula, which proved that I was telling the truth.
Were you afraid during this entire thing?
I certainly was, and I can explain that. What I consider normal fear to be is something that you expect, just normal fear is something that you expect here on this earth. But this was something that wasn't supposed to even exist, and it's fear that you can't even explain. And shortly afterward, for a few months, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't eat. It was on my mind all the time. But the fear's all gone now, and it's just not as much fear as it was before.